This morning, the amazing Jack Hanna, Director Emeritus of Columbus Zoo, is ready to show us around the zoo's very cool African rainforest. Jack, how you doing this morning?
Good. Out here with all my babies. Well, not babies, baby gorilla.
Yeah, let's see this guy. I want to see this little rascal. Tell me all about him.
Well, this is a little Misha right here. Misha's from the Louisville Zoo. At the Columbus Zoo, we have a surrogate program here, one of the finest in the world. We actually started the surrogate program here at the Columbus Zoo. This little animal was injured in an altercation in Louisville. It lost its leg, which in the wild, if that had happened, they would have lost the animal. But we see the little leg here, you can see. And now we're raising the little animal here at the zoo. See right here's a little leg here. And he'll be just fine. He'll stay here. He'll stay here and be introduced to the gorillas right next door over here. Can you imagine taking a baby gorilla from another family, which often happens, and we bring it over here and put it with this family over here. Mumba, the big silverback over there, is raised about 8 babies this way. He weighs about 350 pounds.
No kidding. So these gorillas are so adaptable that they'll help raise a youngster that they really have had nothing to do with?
Exactly. In other words, what Columbus Zoo does here is the fact that this gorilla was with gorillas for just several weeks in Louisville, and Barb and these folks here are the surrogate moms. So what they do is they actually act like a gorilla, and all the actions they do, when they bottle feed, they do it in front of the gorillas, so the gorilla knows that. And then in a few months, I understand, maybe, I don't know how many weeks, Barb?
Probably by the end of July, hopefully.
By the end of July, they'll take that little gorilla, this one, and put him in with the bigger gorillas, the females, and then introduce him to the male. And the sounds they make, Barb, tell me some sounds you make to act like a gorilla.
Well, when they're hungry, we sort of...
A little louder. It's going
almost like it's really good.
like your gorilla, and they do those sounds constantly, and then the gorilla becomes used to bottle feeding, and then of course they'll even bottle feed this animal in front of these gorillas right over here. So it's an incredible surrogate program. We've actually done this with 14 gorillas, 8 from the Columbus Zoo, and even Mumba has done it with I think about 8 or 9 gorillas himself. So as far as the male receiving them and the female in the family.
Right. That little baby's starting to open his eyes up a little bit. I mean, it really is quite incredible when you think about how this thing was endangered in another zoo, and that you guys are in a position to be able to not only heal him up, but then get him in a position where he can grow to be an adult.
Exactly. Go to be an adult, but act like a gorilla. See, the whole purpose is not for us to be raising gorillas here for people to look at like they did in the 1960s and 1970s. The Columbus Zoo had the first gorilla ever born in the world here in 1956. She is now the oldest gorilla in the world. We're one of the only zoos in the Western Hemisphere, the only zoo to have twin gorillas. We also have 4 generations of gorillas. And now we want the gorillas to raise their babies. We don't want Barb. The worst thing we want to do is raise a baby gorilla, but we have to when there's altercations or when the mother might reject them. In the wild, I have a home in Rwanda where the mountain gorillas are. So I spend a lot of time there with them. And if the animals in the wild don't do it, you never really know much about it because they're obviously gone. But in this situation, the zoological situation, they have incredible, by the way, outside habitats here. And they have we have four families of gorillas here, by the way. Wow. But what's amazing, Harry, is when you see this little gorilla sitting in the hands of a gorilla that can take a coconut, a green coconut, and crush it like a marshmallow. And see that big silverback? Look at this little creature like Mumba has, is absolutely amazing.
I think the other thing you need to talk about a little bit, because people love to come to Columbus to see these habitats. This is so much different than the zoos, Jack, that you and I grew up with.
Very good point, Harry. It's beyond, it's like outer space is what it is. You're right. These gorillas in 1977, when I'd been here, had never been on grass, for example. Now, and by the way, a majority of our gorillas here are from other zoological parks throughout the world. That's been much different than when you and I were younger. These gorillas, there might be a breeding situation in Europe, Australia, who knows where we now have the gene pool shifting around to all these zoos. So it's not necessary anymore to ever take a gorilla out of the wild. And with numbers nearing 10 or 20,000 for the lowland gorilla, depending on what species, and or the mountain gorilla down to 620 left in the world. Wow. You can see that the zoological parks throughout the world, the American Zoo and Aquarium Association, we're all working together to preserve this species.
Good job, Jack. Great to see you, pal. Everybody, head to the Columbus Zoo. Thank you so much, and especially our friends at WBNS in Columbus.
A lot happens early on The Early Show, weekday mornings on CBS.